to another week of the WSS. Today we're taking on CC and his Poole Piplups. Pretty much the same record, so it's a big game. But if you want to check out his side of the battle, be sure to look in the description down below. Click on the link and I'll redirect you to his side. You can sub up to his channel if we can send some love over there. That would also be pretty awesome. But hopefully this is not a fun-filled hacksy battle. If you haven't checked out last week's battle, be sure to check it out. It was quite the showing. But anywho, let's talk a bit about the team that we have in front of us and what I was thinking about during my when I first saw this matchup. So I was like, right away, I was like, oh man, he brought in Feraligatr, Mega Lopunny, and Raikou and Crobat. So something that I was really aware of. His team is really invested in the physically offensive side. So I brought in two defensive mons, the Kappening and Buzzwole. Buzzwole has some incredible defense, some surprisingly incredible defense, and it has reliable recovery. So I was like, let's try it out. It does while Mega Lopunny, it does while Feraligatr, and it can take down Umbreon, and to a certain degree it could sort of beat Crobat and Alolan Marowak if it comes to that. It can beat Alolan Marowak if it's worn down, but Crobat, it's sort of a standstill. And I sort of don't want to put myself in that situation. So Buzzwole's going to be a big part of this match. We've got Zygarde over here, who's just our late game sweeper. Houdini is not a fan of Zygarde. XOXO, right? Pretty much just your standard set, Yachi Berry and whatnot. Roserade is just meant to wall Raikou in case he brought in any, like... Yeah, it's pretty much our wall to Raikou. I figured he'd bring in Raikou, so I was like, alright, I'm just going to make this thing to take it on. Hopefully it's not Choice Specs. Most likely it will be Assault Vest or Shaka Berry or something like that. Blastoise is just meant to spin rocks, as always. It also has the job of taking hits from Alolan Marowak, so it's been assigned to it somehow, and hopefully we don't sack it off for the third time this season already. And then hiding right behind Blastoise and Kappening is Mew. That is my Choice Scarf Mew with Volt Switch, Psyshock, Scald, and I forgot the last move. But that's pretty much all I need right now, as you can tell right now. So let's just hop right into this. I figured, you know what? Mew's an excellent lead because it has Volt Switch, and you know, it's sort of a question mark. So he leads with Marowak, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. I'm going to switch out, go right into Blastoise, and right away we're taking that chip damage. Bad damage. Right there, 68%, right off the bat, and I'm like, that's a bad first turn. So I'm just going to go for Scald, pressure him out, and we're going to get a bit of damage right over here, which is fantastic damage. 31% is good damage on that Mon. That puts it in range for Zygarde to take it down after one Dragon Dance. And I'm pretty sure it still did, but, you know, damage is damage, right? So he goes for the Volt Switch, and I just gotta keep on letting this Mon take damage. So I'm just gonna switch into Blastoise thinking I was gonna sack it off. Thankfully, he just sets up his Stealth Rocks, and I'm like, that's good. I can deal with that. So I make a prediction over here that predicting him to switch out, and I get the Rapid Spin off. So that was sort of a 50-50 because he could have predicted me making a prediction that he was gonna switch out, so he stayed in and took down Super Soko. So that would have been the worst situation, or that would have been, yeah, the worst case scenario that I would have not just enjoyed. And thankfully this worked out. I went for the Rapid Spin, get those rocks out, and Blastoise is already doing what I wanted to do, even though it took so much damage on turn 1. So I can just sort of do that. That is awesome. I can switch in Roserade for free. I know he's going to go right for Volt Switch, or he could potentially go for Volt Switch. So I just sent out Zygarde over here to take that Shadow Ball. Takes it relatively well. I can set up a DD Dance right there. DD Dance, double dance. Too much DDRs. But I'm going to switch out because I know Umbreon can take this hit and Foul Play is going to be doing a lot of damage. But I see this is a Yawn variant, so that's pretty scary. That is pretty scary. So my game plan was to set up Toxic Spikes at this moment because all I see that he has for Hazard Removal is Crobat, and Mew actually has a really good matchup for Crobat. So I can simply just switch in Mew, and every time Mew comes in, either I can go for Volt Switch, Psyshock, Scald, or one of those moves, and it allows me to put on a lot more pressure, and it allows Crobat to come in and, you know, maybe sack things that he wouldn't really want to sack off. So all I have to do right now is try to get Alolan Marowak chip down for Mew to take it down. I have to either get Umbreon down, and now we'd be in a really good situation at that moment. So I figured, you know what, it's worth the Toxic Spikes to go and fall asleep because I can potentially get a really good matchup over here. As I want to see if he has Defog. So I'm doubling over here, go right into Rafflecoffin once again, and I see the Defog. So I know this is a defensive variant, and The U-turn just confirmed that, so I'm looking pretty... I was pretty happy about what happened over here, but every time this mon comes in, I have to sack something off or let something take a lot of damage. I realized at this point I was like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna sack something over here. So I decided Blastoise wasn't really gonna do that much. If he went for Stealth Rock, then I'd have to make another prediction, but at the same time, Raikou's getting worn down and I can keep on doing that. So I just go right into my Zygarde, and he actually stays in, which is fantastic for me because I do a lot of damage. That's enough damage for it to put in range where a lot of mons can take it down. So I'm happy about that because Zygarde is doing what I wanted to do exactly. And I'm just going to go for the Dragon Dance once again over here just because it is my best play to do. And I don't want Marowak to come in and catch that wish. So I would go for the Outrage. If he had switched out, then, you know, that would have been an interesting situation. But yeah, so I'm going to lose Zygarde. We're already down 2 mons. Marowak is still around, and he still has 6. So we're looking pretty shaky at this point. But I know I can still win this battle because I've worn down his alone Marowak. And if I can get that thing down, that is PG. That is really, really good. That actually builds me a lot of momentum because that can allow me to Volt Switch and get the defensive matchups that I want. The good thing is that my 2 or 3 walls, I guess, are pretty healthy. And right now, the offensive presence is on Mew, which is weird because it's usually the other way around. So I'm just gonna send out Buzzwole over here. Buzzwole picks up the KO with the launch. So good, so delicious, and we get that beast boost of defense, looking pretty fine. Of course, I'm not taking a Brave Bird. I still don't know if this thing has Brave Bird, but I see that it has Super Fang, so I'm like, all right, does this thing have Brave Bird? I want to know if it does. Thankfully for me, I've wasted a couple turns of sleep, and now I can just go for the Haze because this is my Haze. This is my way of phasing out potential setup mons, and that's what I really just wanted to do. Just phase out those mons there, and then once again, gonna apply some pressure, make sure that Umbreon or Crobat has to come in, and we're just gonna eat that up. Of course, he's not gonna go for the Volt Switch. If he had gone for the Volt Switch, I can still bring in Mew for free and sort of build up a lot of momentum. And Ruby's doing what I wanted to do, which is absorb hits from Raikou. I can get the lead seed off and keep this thing relatively healthy. So Mew's my switch in right now, and over here I build. This is where I slowly start shifting the battle in my favor because I can go for Volt Switch and get a matchup that I want and potentially take out something. So Kuro, the Umbreon, comes in, go for the Volt Switch. So good. Can go right into Buzzwole and put a lot of pressure on this team right now because something doesn't appreciate this lunge. And this thing is Umbreon. So that thing goes down. And at this moment, I'm like, wait a minute. My Choice Scarf Mew can potentially win out this battle with just Psyshock. So right now, Psyshock is the play for me to make. I make a ballsy play here, decide to stay in. I can take a Brave Bird at +1. And I can get some damage off of this thing, which is fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. Of course, I don't want to get like trapped in a situation where he goes for Super Fang and Brave Bird, where I assume he doesn't have Brave Bird. So I'm going to switch out over here. No point of risking the biscuit whatsoever. I still have Kappening, still really, really healthy. And he ends up going for the Super Fang, so that works out for me. And I can set up Toxic Spikes once again, keep on applying that pressure. As you can tell, you know, every time he defogs it away, Mew comes in, builds some momentum for myself, and that's sort of the game plan that we sort of have at the moment. Because I can just send out Roserade, or I can simply allow Mew to take a hit, but Roserade's a safer play for this situation. And then he's just going to go right into Crobat once more because, yeah, he has to get rid of those spikes because he doesn't have reliable recovery, and my team can actually just stall him out in terms of that. So we're just sort of pressuring him, making the plays that he has to make, and then we're sort of capitalizing on what could potentially build us a lot of momentum. So Psyshock is my play at the moment over here, and bada bing, bada boom. Look at that, 50%. Put it in range where we take it down. Oh, so good, so good. And Mew picks up a KO over there, which is fantastic for Mew. For a minute here, I decided, you know what, maybe I could take it down, maybe I couldn't. But he ends up Dragon Dance, and I'm like, oh boy, this thing is scary. Crunch does so much damage. Thankfully, Sheer Force is gone, which means it won't get that boost from Sheer Force, and we'll put it back to a neutral. stat. So at this moment, I'm just gonna go for Pain Split. Or no, I end up switching out because I have Buzzball. 2 defensive mons, so I'm okay staying in here. This is fine. He can go for return or high jump kick. Only does like 28%. I think that was even a I think it was a mid roll. Either way, I'm like, oh boy, just eating that up. Delicious dinner. Another foot for me, please, por favor. Yeah. So at this moment, I decide, you know, if he goes for high jump kick or something, he doesn't actually KO me. Fire punch, something like that. Even if he goes into for alligator, it's still fine. I'm still in a good situation. So Rafflecoffin's my play. I don't get KO'd, and I can stay in because Fire Punch, Ice Punch doesn't KO me, and I can set up some more spikes. This is Rafflecoffin's like, this is his 5th or 6th time setting up those spikes and getting them shaken away. So poor Rafflecoffin getting the short end of that. But Rafflecoffin really put in the work over here, making sure that those T-spikes stay on and absorbing hits. And yeah, once again over here, I can go right into Mew. Even if he goes into anything else, at this moment Mewtwo KOs everything, and this is my play to make. Just go for the side shock and keep on applying that sort of pressure. And this allows Mew, the next time that sequence of events happens, Mew can actually just sweep up. Which is fantastic, because that's all I want Mew to do, just to sweep up the game at the moment. And Johnny Bravo still eats up that hit really well, which is like, that's a +1 sheer force life orb waterfall. That is fantastic. Johnny Bravo is so bulky for no particular reason. But yeah, at this moment I can just go for into Mew. Mew is my best play. And even if he goes for U-turn, we take down everything. Unfortunately, he misses his Super Fang. You're gonna see eventually at this point where it's sorta, it doesn't really like change the game in the long term, but you're gonna see over here the Aqua Jet gets a crit, and he just dies to his Life Orb. And yeah. We actually pull off a 4-0 victory over the Poole Piplups. So GG to CC. This was a much better battle from last week. It wasn't so much hacks, and it was more of a game that I sort of liked playing because, you know, I had a plan and it sort of worked out. I applied a lot of pressure with Kappening setting out those spikes, and I just kept at it with that. So it was one of the more battles that was a lot more successful. And yeah, if you want to check out, once again, CC side, be sure to look in the description down below, click on it, and we are going to be moving up to 3-1, I think? Something like that. One of those things. Anywho, thank you so much for watching. Catch you guys next time. Be sure to check out next week's battle. Peace.